One time. Black Lives Matter. 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 We matter. We all matter. Black Lives 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 Matter. Our money matters. Our money matters. We matter. We matter. We all matter. We all matter. Black Lives 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 Matter. We all matter. We all matter. Money matters. Money matters. We gonna go. We mean business. Black Lives Matter. 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 We matter.
Jordan, and we're the ones that organized this. So, for a lot of you that weren't familiar with the situation, just out, heard about everything and you're disgusted with the actions, the owner of this store made a lot of racist posts on Facebook. It's unbelievable, disgusting, and will not be stood for in this community. And that's why I want to thank so much of you, all the diversity that's out here today. This is exactly what we want. This is beautiful, this is amazing, and this is... You guys have no idea how much it means to me to see things like this. And apparently this is something that he hates. It's like when these Facebook posts came to submerge, right? I was on his Facebook page and I'm going post by post, waiting to see somebody that stood up, that would say something. And it's nobody. It's almost like he lived in a completely different world. Just ignorance. Everything he said was just ignorance.
Good old boys club.
And exactly, and that's why we're out here to make our voice heard.
It was a good old boys club.
Good old.
They all laughed, they joined in, and they clapped.
And exactly, there's a whole. Exactly, there's a whole community of people who think just like this man. And we're out here to educate. We're not out here to be violent. We're not out here to. No, don't get me wrong. We're out here to make people feel uncomfortable. Just the way when I read those Facebook posts, I was so uncomfortable that I walk amongst people that think like this about me, about you. It's amazing. It's amazing how people think, but I don't want to get too emotional because this isn't about emotions. Thank you. This isn't about emotions. This is about doing what's right, taking a stand, and making our voices heard.
That's right.
I love every last one. I may not know you, but I love every last one of you that is out here today because you guys are out here for a cause. You guys are standing for something, and I appreciate that so much. You guys don't understand. Now I'm going to hand this off to Neil to make...
And so silence from the non-black community is something that is unacceptable. And so we have to make sure that we have an action plan in place. And so what is that action plan going to look like for us? So first and foremost, we need to develop a diversity and inclusion committee. We need to make sure that the majority is also at the table because we need their voices as well. We need to also place pressure on our elected officials. So when businesses come into Mercer County, into Hamilton Township, and we provide them with tax credits, they need to make sure that we're negotiating that there are local staff, right? They're hiring local, that they're hiring people of color. There's several events that we've held here at Stone Terrace. I called the CEO this morning and he is in total agreement that any further events that we have, we've canceled those events. I'm also waiting, and I don't know if we've had an announcement from the Democratic committee, the county committee, in saying that any further events, conventions that we have, we will not be having these events here at Township. And let me be clear. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but I also need the Republican committee to also stand with us in the black community and also not hold any further events here at Stone Terrace. So this is more than police brutality. It's more than making sure that businesses treat us with dignity and respect, but also as you go onto your jobs, as you guys go back to work, you need to challenge your HR professionals, your leaders, your CEOs, and your companies. They need to make sure that when they have interview panels, that you have a person of color that is sitting on that interview panel. That is one thing at the Department of Labor. We made sure that we have diverse interview panels. So make sure that you are working with your leadership. And as we begin to move forward, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to work together, and we'll make sure that we provide each and every one of us the necessary tools and resources to beat this and to be successful in Mercer County. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out. My name is Arthur Entrepreneur Tracy Syfax. I'm a 25-year business owner in the city of Trenton. So it amazes me that another business owner would spew this type of racism on his page. I serve a diverse clientele. Maybe 40% of my clientele are non-black. But the fact of the matter is that this is unacceptable, and this is why I'm out here today.
Right.
The great Angela Davis once said, "No, no, no. I am not accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept." And we can no longer accept racism in Mercer County. We can no longer accept discrimination in Mercer County. We can no longer accept businesses that walk all over the minority community in this town. We will be here tonight. We will be here on Monday at 9 a.m. When he has his grand opening, we will greet him. We're not going away. And I'm going to mention one more thing about the Bromley section of this city. We know that structural racism exists. Houses burned down in the Bromley section almost 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Those houses are still sitting there. That would happen in no other neighborhood in Hamilton but Bromley. That's got to change. That's racism. That's separation. That's underclass. And we must speak up against that. So like Tanil said, like Quincy said, we got some action items that we're going to demand Hamilton and Mercer County take hold to before this is over. And everybody going to know here in Mercer County that racism cannot exist in this county.
Here we go.
Thank you all.
I'm a resident of Willingboro, New Jersey, and until 3 years ago I resided in Ewing and Trenton. I'm married to a beautiful black queen.
Yeah.
And she has taught me a lot more about racism than I previously knew. As a white man growing up in the inner city, I saw firsthand what my friends had to deal with racism and discrimination. Being married to my wife has really given me a chance to see deeper how she is affected every day. Whether it be applying for a job, being told she has an attitude because she's strong or doesn't take shit, or even sometimes the looks her and I get while in public. Where am I? Sorry, I lost my place.
You good? Take your time.
All this stuff that has happened, that I've witnessed, has shown me how strong that white privilege is. I think that once a lot of white men and women realize that there is a white privilege and they do have a white privilege, they can use that tool to speak out for others who may not have the chance to or have the chance to say the same thing. I also think that it is very imperative to know when to keep quiet and just listen. the last thing I want to share with you guys is a poem that I wrote in 2016. It is my first time sharing this, other than with Tracy and like a couple friends.
It's good.
In 2016, Philando Castillo was brutally murdered when he was pulled over because he fit the description of a burglary in the area. When this happened, it affected me as much as it probably not affects you guys, but you know, I think when each one of these men or women are brutally murdered, I think about that being my future son or daughter. So hopefully this poem could paint a brief picture of white privilege for you all. I'm white, and as I close my eyes tonight, all I can see is a sight. A black man doing everything right. Stops at the light, not even a car in sight. At this rate, he thinks I'll probably be home by midnight. Looks in the rear view to see the red and blue lights. For a strong black man, this causes his biggest fright. Quickly dials his wife and says, I'm caught in a plight. Step out of the vehicle and take 2 steps to the right. Complies to every order. Yes, officer, and all right. But for some reason, this officer wants to incite a fight. Because you know how it goes. Black man wrong and officer always right. Bang, bang. Shots rung out. What happened to human rights? Looking down, he notices blood dripping on his Nikes. Another man dead. Do you think it's all right? Now let me tell you how this would have gone if he was white. He would have looked in the rear view to see the red and blue lights. Officer walks up to the car, checks ID, now hold tight. Be on your way, drive safe, and have a good night. You see the difference when your skin is dark and not light? What happened to equal, civil, and human rights? Confused by how many would think that this is right. What if your father, son, daughter, or mother didn't come home at night? Shit just doesn't seem right. Hey! So following this, we will be heading to the Henry residence just to let our voice be heard. I was able to get the address from a friend of mine who he told me that she's been waiting for 10 years for this day to come. So if